Hello! Today I'm turning the amazing digital circus characters into humans, even though some of them are already kind of humanish. But let's just jump right into it. We've got a lot of characters ahead of us, starting with Pomni, who is one of the already very humanoid characters. But for this video, since all of the characters used to be human before the circus, I wanted to draw how I thought they might look, but also more so, it's like a combination of how maybe they looked as humans and their circus forms. Because I still wanted them to be like really recognizable as their characters. So for Pomni, I gave her a beanie, one of those cat ear beanies. Do you know what I mean? The like ones with the flat top to mimic the sort of jester hat shape, and then I had it split in the colors of her jester outfit. And then I wanted to keep with the little puff sleeves that she has, and since she used to be an accountant, I figured maybe she'd have these like nice collared shirt outfits. And I didn't actually want to draw her in like her accountant like work clothes, but I figured maybe she uses some of her work clothes in her everyday wear. So I gave her the little puffed sleeve shirts to mimic that in the jester outfit. I was really trying to keep with the general silhouette, so I have these shorts. I didn't want to make them round poofy because that's not typical fashion in everyday wear. And then I have the gold buttons on her vest, and the vest sort of mimics the jester outfit a little bit, maybe. I don't know. I also just threw a random pattern on to the vest. I don't know if it really is the vibe, but I really wanted to keep with that color scheme as well. And then I tried to give her white tights because she wears the white tights, I think, in the jester version. It's really hard to tell because her skin is also just white. And then I tried to make her pale to sort of match that. And now you can't really tell that I gave her white tights. She just kind of looks that really pale. And then I also gave her band-aids on her knee and elbow. And I tried to make the one on the knee look like it's underneath the tights. I don't know if you can tell. But I think since she used to explore abandoned buildings, that maybe she gets a little scraped up every once in a while, you know? Yeah, I really like Pomni. She's probably my favorite character in the show. I kind of pick main characters as my faves a lot. I always pick either the main character or the funny side character. That's sort of my character type. Yeah, I really liked her backstory of like a boring job, but she tries to do fun things. I'd really like to learn more about her and who she was as a person. I like her vibe, and she's the same age as me, so it's really nice to see protagonists in their mid-20s. Kind of rare, I feel. But yeah, that's Pomni. But now on to Ragatha. To be honest, I think this is my least favorite of the designs I did. I don't know, I struggled with her. I gave her curly hair to match the ragdoll hair, but in a more natural redhead color, because she doesn't seem like a hair dye kind of girly. But I still wanted to keep it with the red, so it's more of an orangey red natural color. And then for the outfit, I tried to do something. I was like looking at like old money style clothes and trying to combine that with like the farm girl vibe. I don't know if that fully came across or she just looks straight farm girl, but that was the thought. And I gave her like some pearls, like a necklace and bracelet and earrings to try and bring in that old money vibe. I'm not really sure. And then I kept with her original silhouette with the ruffles. I just didn't want to do like the patched up dress because I mean she mentions being kind of wealthy, so I feel like, you know, she can afford new clothes if she gets a tear. So instead of the patches, I did like a band-aid again on her just to show that she gets sort of roughed up. I feel like that's also kind of integral to her character. And then I gave her little cowboy boots because farm. I thought that was cute. And I tried to add like a little, you know, like how cowboy boots have patterns on them. I tried to draw like a button, and I tried to incorporate that button on her dress a little too. I don't know. I just feel like the button is also kind of important. And then instead of giving her a literal button eye, I gave her the one blue eye since the button is blue. And then the dark eye color. And then I tried to keep her bow. Well, I did keep her bow in, but it made it kind of difficult to make her still look like an adult with the big bow in her hair. I tried really hard to make her face look a little bit older because I sort of imagine her in her like early 30s. I don't know if the characters have canon ages. I know Pomni mentioned specifically she's 25, but I was just guessing. I actually started watching the show literally a week before drawing these, so I don't know all the lore from outside of the show. Yeah, I think her character is so interesting. I really liked her, and I just want things to go well for her for once. She's struggling since episode 1. But yeah, I'm really interested, especially in her history with Jax and just how long she's been in the circus. It sounds like she's been there for a while. I'm excited to learn more about her. But that's it for Ragatha. There she is. And next is Jax. Jax's circus design sort of contradicts his personality. So it was a little bit of struggle for that, because I want to keep him recognizable with the bunny with the overalls and the pinky red with purple as the color scheme. But he's like so much toxic masculinity coming from this man. I feel like he would not wear overalls and he would not like those colors if he had the choice, you know? I tried to make the overalls sort of look like work overalls and kept with the gloves that he's already got, and gave him like heavy duty construction worker boots. I'm not sure if he'd be working in construction or not. He mentions that he used to do, and he felt like he was doing something important, so maybe he was doing construction. I don't know. And then his hair I was really unsure about, because I wanted to give some reference to the rabbit ears, but my first thought for that was giving him pigtails, and I just think he would hate that and be against that, so I went with a mullet and I just had it dyed purple. I don't think he would ever dye his hair purple, but I just really wanted to keep him recognizable. And then I added a little patch on his overalls with a little bunny pattern, again to reference the bunny. I don't know, I really wanted to make sure he looked like the bunny. I also give him little butt teeth. And also for the head shape, because the Jax as the bunny has like a very horizontally oval head, and I wanted to try and keep that would look weird as a human being, so I gave him a very short head. I don't know if you can really tell, but the intention was there, and I made his hair kind of flat at the top to really try to emphasize that a bit, and wide on the sides. I don't know. It was an attempt, but that felt like a key feature to his design for some reason to me. Yeah. His character is genuinely one of the most interesting to me lore-wise. I really am fascinated by him. And I'm really excited to see where his story goes, especially considering the most recent episode. I think if he was a person, well, I know if he was a person, I would absolutely hate him, like a real person. But as a character, he's very interesting, and I wish that was more accepted, that people don't like judge your moral character based on the characters you like, the fictional characters you like, yeah, he's a horrible person, but he's still one of my favorite characters, and I think that's so valid. You know what I mean? That's Jax. And next is Gangle. She's one of the first of the very much not humanoid characters, so there's a lot more creative liberties to be taken. So for her hair, I went with the bangs being pulled back because I really wanted to get her face framed in the shape of that mask. I also really wanted to give her ribbon curled hair because I thought that'd be funny. And then I was sort of debating back and forth on whether I should make the hair red like her ribbons or black to sort of emphasize the head shape. And I ended up going with black because I put ribbons in her hair and I wanted all the detailing and the ribbons to be in red. So I think it worked out. And then for her clothes, I wanted to do something very J-fashion inspired since she loves anime. I feel like she'd want to dress like an anime protagonist. So I gave her very like cutesy, ruffly type of fashion. And then I made her shirt sort of fork out at the bottom to sort of mimic the angles on the ends of her ribbons. Yeah, I tried to keep those general shapes the same. But yeah, she's such a cute character. I really like her. I always love a character who's an artist, relatable, you know what I mean? And I do just feel sad for her every episode. Also, the fast food episode was one of the things that made me want to watch the show because I kept seeing clips of it and I was like, that looks kind of interesting. I don't know. And then I proceeded to not watch the show for another like few months after seeing those clips. But yeah, that was genuinely one of my favorite episodes. And I look forward to seeing more of her. I hope she gets to be happy someday. That'd be nice for her. But there's Gangle. Next is Kinger. And Kinger is my second favorite character. As I mentioned before, I always like the protagonist and the goofy side character. So here's my goofy side character. So since he's definitely not a literal king when he was a human, I didn't want to make him a literal king. But I did want to like give ode to the fact that he is a king piece in the circus. So I gave him this bathrobe that's sort of patterned like his cape. And then underneath I gave him a sort of like 80s style academic type of clothing. Because he mentioned he did computer science for 7 years. And he's one of the older members of the circus. So, I don't know, he gives like 50s. So maybe I just thought the 80s style would make sense. And then I thought the combination of the bathrobe on top of the sort of suit vibe just added, that's just his type of whimsy and his type of kind of weird, you know? I thought that just made sense for him and sort of communicates I don't want to say crazy, but you know, the other characters do. So, you know, I think it showcases that side of him, hopefully. And then for the vest, I gave it like a checkerboard pattern to continue the chess references, you know? And then I went with blonde hair because he's got the like yellow toned wood. And then a monocle to show like visually that he's got like the different eye height difference. Do you know what I mean? Because his eyes are 2 different heights. But I didn't necessarily want to literally do that. So I gave him a monocle to sort of allude to that, if that makes sense. And then for his pose, because I was really unsure about his pose, I wanted to do something sort of wacky and fun, but like it just didn't feel right. Because his chest piece doesn't move, like it moves so stiffly, so I went with that and have him like leaning slightly as he does in the show. I don't know. Yeah, I really love his episode. That's one of my favorites, if not my favorite episode. I really like his backstory. I think he's such a tragic character and also a really fun character. And I love the little like motivational speeches he gives everyone. Except for, I mean, it was a good speech, the one he gives to Ragatha in the recent episode. But I don't know why he was just giving like Sanders sides, Thomas Sanders vibes to me. That's not a bad thing. I did like Sanders sides, but it was really giving that. I don't know if anyone else thinks that but me. But yeah, I'm really hoping we get to see more of him in the future and get to know more of his backstory because I really liked him. And that's Kinger. Yay! And last but not least, we have Zooble. Zooble was the one I was the most stumped on, which is why I saved them for last. Similar to Jack's, where their personality contradicts how they look in the circus, especially since Zooble's whole thing is that they hate their body in the circus. I wanted to give them like that edgy fashion that matches their personality while still keeping the fun colors and shapes that they have in their circus form. So their outfit's kind of crazy. I went with like a mesh yellow top with like holes in it and an orange tank top underneath to sort of match the body that they have. And then I did these like split pants with different leg colors, and also I had one cinched up higher than the other to mimic the different legs. I don't know, I was doing a whole lot of things. I also just gave them different prosthetics, so like one arm is a prosthetic and one leg is a prosthetic, to just pay ode to the fact that they have removable limbs in the circus. I don't know if they actually would IRL, quote unquote, but I thought maybe that was a fun detail to add. I don't know. And then of course I had to do the pink spiky hair to sort of allude to the triangle head. And then for the headpieces, I just gave them those as earrings. Also, of course, had to add tattoos since they were a tattoo artist. And I just made the tattoos the different shapes of their other limbs, as well as the swirl in their eye. I just put that on their shoulder. And I gave them the brooch thing that they always have. Also, I gave them a really kind of awkward pose, because they always look so uncomfortable with the way they walk and stand. I don't know if that's just me, but they look a little wacky, and low-key I relate to it. It's giving scoliosis. I have scoliosis. They walk like someone with scoliosis as someone who has it. I don't know. So I just wanted to give them kind of a weird pose because that's just how I see them. To be honest, Zooble as a character for me is the least interesting story-wise. I appreciate what they add to the cast and I like their vibe a lot, but I don't know. I hope we get more of them because they're currently not my favorite, and I would like to like them more, you know what I mean? So yeah, that's Zooble. That's the whole cast. I did all 6 of them. I didn't include Kane because I didn't want to. I just wanted to do the main 6. And there they are. I hope you like my designs for them, and let me know which one's your favorite, and I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye!